All right, and we also want to give a shout out to the officials, but it looks like the game is about to get underway, so we'll do that in just a moment. Once again, you have just tuned in to WFTDA.tv to see Tampa Bay take on Quad City. This is the first game of Day 2 in the Open Division.
Day 1 was definitely something to remember. A lot of really great games, some very close. Angel City versus Foco yesterday was a neck-and-neck game up until the very end. Jacksonville versus Los Anarchists was super close until the very end, and these kids have been staying like on point the entire weekend throughout the day.
It's incredible, and of course Quad City and Tampa both having played yesterday. Quad City losing that last matchup to the Sirens of Savannah, and Tampa falling to Des Moines.
It was an excellent game, I was told. I wasn't able to catch it because I was on another call, but I heard it was a good one.
Yes, it's been just an incredible tournament so far, and we still have so much more derby ahead of us, Tool Time.
Absolutely. We still got plenty to go today, and we'll be here with you all day. And if you want to let us know how we're doing, you can hashtag Talk2JRDA. That's talk, the number 2, JRDA. And just let us know how we're doing. Also use the hashtag JRDAChamps, and we'll be checking that off on Twitter.
And you know what? It looks like we do have a moment here just to give our Zebra team some love. So our referees for this matchup is Ref in Peace, Stone Nasty, Kill a Key, Judge Double Wapner, Tricky Ricky, Lucinda Knickers, and Karma.
And we can't forget our NSOs and Andy Oakley, Hef, David Reed, Barney Trouble, Mr. Danger, Allison Starkey, Eve L, and Lobo Cop. And right now we're about ready to start Derby.
All right, so on the jammer line here for Tampa, we have 1217 Frico Suave.
And for Quad City, we have 101 Goldilocks.
Frico Suave having jammed a large portion of that last matchup the team faced against Des Moines. We're already seeing our first trip to the penalty box, though, for Quad City.
And Tampa trying a hole on the outside and gets your lead jam for the first jam of the day. Goldilocks still trying to make something happen off of turn 1.
Getting bumped out there by number 2-3 Complicated.
Tampa sending a blocker to the penalty box. And it looks like we have a successful cover pass by Goldilocks, getting through the initial pass.
Oh, rather, I believe, a star stash.
Ah.
Little tricky maneuvers there.
And that's 3 points up more on the board for Tampa.
So both teams putting up points in the first jam.
Absolutely.
We also did see 2 trips to the penalty box, 1 each from each team that jam. And yesterday, Tool Time, and I don't know if you recognize this in some of your calls, but there were just a lot of penalties. I wonder if the teams took that home last night and decided maybe we should try to stop some penalty spirals here.
Absolutely. A couple of teams were getting into a lot of trouble with penalties, and it was costing them in the end. But who do we have with our lead jam for Tampa?
That was so fast. Number 88 is Nightmare. Oh, sorry, that's number 112, Tinkerbomb, of course.
And Ladies Man on the line for Quad City calls it.
And Tampa picks up 2 points. Tinkerbomb also one of those jammers who played a tremendous amount. And we are seeing so many times for these jammers to come out because the jams are short. They're quick. They're strategic.
Absolutely. They're getting their points and calling it, just stopping the point spread. It's working out great for a couple of teams this weekend, and right now we have Sasquatch for Quad City out there going up against Anya Last Nerve for Tampa.
And Anya Last Nerve gets a trip to the penalty box and on a back block call.
That's going to make this a power jam for Sasquatch. A little bit of a pile up off of turn 2. Back up, and now Sasquatch gets Ghost Blocker to turn 3.
Takes a bit of a tumble there on turn 3.
That's going to let Anya Last Nerve out of the box.
And she comes in with that typical.
Tampa catching one of Quad City's blockers in the back, trying to hold him off to break up the pack. Doesn't work, but it doesn't hurt Anya Last Nerve.
And right away we have the Quad City jammer Sasquatch back on the track. Of course, sitting that abbreviated penalty, being the jammer, having to sit the same time that Anya Last Nerve sat.
Absolutely.
Now, not sure if Sasquatch is looking for a star pass. However, he's right at the back of the pack, and that pack is stretched out around turn 1 there, but now regrouping.
Anya Last Nerve putting 4 points on the board for Tampa.
Coming up against the Quad City pivot there, number 5, Disgracer, putting the pressure on.
Blocking Anya Last Nerve to the inside and making her go back.
Ah, the dreaded drag back. And there was a no earned pass there, or otherwise known as a no pass, no penalty. So it was a legal maneuver, but Anya Last Nerve gets 4 points for that.
And that's the jam. So what we were just talking about with the drag back, that's something we were seeing a lot yesterday, which really shows the conditioning of these young athletes, because especially the ones that had to play more than once in a day, after at least one half of doing that constantly and these really strong walls that we're seeing and them having to push through, you really got to admire how physically powerful these young athletes are to not only keep doing all that physical work, but then keep doing it repeatedly.
Totally. Tool time, you can't not be impressed with what you're seeing out there, and just the speed with which these jammers are getting lead. Look at that, number 101 Goldie Knox for Quad City Rollers with lead right now, decides to call it.
No points scored on that pass.
Now both teams come into this seated a little lower. Tampa Bay is number 6, while Quad City came in seated at number 9. And that's why you're likely going to see that tighter play, trying to keep the points and shut out the other team.
Absolutely. A lot of really smart roller derby that we've seen this weekend as we get started. Ladies man taking the line for Quad City.
And Frico Suave for Tampa Bay. And Frico Suave out with lead. The pack still hasn't even reached the pivot line yet. And already Frico Suave back for some more points, while Ladies Man gets out on the initial.
And Tampa doing a great job covering the inside and outside lines while the other two blockers are covering the center. There are very few openings for jammers to get through, so this is going to be a very physically powerful game.
Definitely. Both of these teams are showing that they showed up early today and they came to play.
Absolutely.
All right, we have Tinkerbomb on the line for Tampa Bay.
And we have Goldie Knox out there for Quad City. Current score 22-4.
Goldie Knox now trying to work on the seams, possibly get on the inside, but gets knocked out by number 7, Haley Dubinsky. And Tinkerbomb up at the front, trying to get by that line. Who ended up getting the lead? Looks like it is no one right now. There was a no earned pass for Tinkerbomb, which means she does not have lead, and Goldie Knox just got sent to the penalty box. So this will go a full 2 minutes.
And that can definitely work in Tampa's favor now that they have the lead.
Although now Tinkerbomb is going to the penalty box. So both of those jammers will only have a short while in the box.
And Goldie Knox back in a strong 4-person wall from Tampa.
And Tampa, even though their wall isn't one solid entity, they seem to be moving around and finding where to fill up. All right, there's a bit of a spill.
Well, something that we're seeing with a lot of teams out here is that they can do the individual blocking, but they're just as comfortable with team blocking and building those tripods really fast. So that, and it's all nonverbal communication, so it's just muscle memory making them do that, which is very impressive.
And so many of these skaters have years of experience, some even a decade of experience, and you're seeing that in full demonstration now. Of course, we're also seeing some skaters heading to the penalty box again, and this is number 5. The pivot for Quad City, Disgracer.
Tinkerbomb putting 12 points on the board for Tampa.
And now basically it's a race when you've got this 2 minutes winding down, last seconds of the jam.
And Goldie Knox putting 4 points on the board for Quad City. Tampa's done a good job at holding them at the points for a good while.
Both teams showing just how much goes into 2 minutes. Sometimes, Tooltime, when you mention to someone who's never seen Derby that, oh, you know, we jam and can go up to 2 minutes, that doesn't sound like a long time. Oh, but it is.
But it is.
And you just saw that. You saw 2 jammer penalties back to back and a number of scoring passes.
And as you said, they don't think 2 minutes takes a long time, but when you're being recycled to the back of the pack or when you're having to push a strong tripod, it's a lot longer. And right now, we have Ladies Man out there for Quad City.
And Anya Last Nerve trying to get by the very last blocker there and succeeds, manages to grab lead there. Some excellent bridging by Quad City to hold Anya back.
Number 380 for Quad City, trying to hold him off. Sorry.
We do have a cut track call on Ladies Man. That'll send him to the penalty box.
That's going to make this oh, never mind. Tampa sending their jammer to the penalty box for a cut track. That's going to release Ladies Man.
And, of course, the action on the track, just waiting for the jammer to return so that the game can continue. And that's why that penalty is structured as so. You can't have Derby happen without a jammer.
I do not miss the jammerless jams at all.
They can still happen. They have weird little casebook examples where that can happen, but it is a lot more rare.
Absolutely. And Ladies Man threw the initial pass for Quad City.
And right now, Quad City trying to figure out how they're going to help with offense, but looks like Ladies Man didn't even need the help, was able to take the apex and grab 5 points.
Both teams through and getting 4 points on the board each.
My apologies, 4 points, yes, because Anya Last Nerve is back on the track.
Excellent block on the outside by Tampa, number 9, Hot Wheels, holding up Ladies Man.
Hot Wheels has shown that her preferred spot is the back of the pack. She knows how to hold that jammer there, which of course gives the blockers so much more room to keep in the engagement zone if the other blockers are ahead of them, and they can just move forward incrementally. There's a lot of strategy behind that.
Absolutely. We've seen some amazing bridges this weekend. Just holding off jammers individually. So it starts off as a 4-person, 3-person, 2-person, 1-person, stretching almost the entire length of the track.
And more than that, Tooltime, is just the incredible pack awareness of where everyone is. Hardly any no-pack calls. I can count on my hand the number of pack penalties I personally saw. So it's incredible, the awareness that we're seeing at this Junior Roller Derby Championships.
Absolutely, and we have Sasquatch out there for Quad City going up against Shark Bites.
And it is Shark Bites' birthday, so we wanted to give him a bit of a shout-out.
Shark Bites doing some work off of turn 1, being blocked by 11-24. Hedrick gets your lead jam for Tampa.
Of course, and he was able to push right to the end of the engagement zone, seeing some really great blocking work, though, with the blockers keeping their hands up, making it very clear to the refs, hey, I'm not doing anything. This is all the jammer pushing on me. Totally legal.
There is no forearms whatsoever here. Nothing to see here.
Well, there's no clockwise direction either. All right, so now...
Well, there may have been a clockwise direction on 325 against one of the inside pack refs, but fortunately the refs here have been amazing and great skating skills, so they were able to stay up and keep it going.
It's a very serious thing, keeping our officials safe. Big hit by Haley Dubinsky. Slows down. And I don't seem to see a star cover on Sasquatch. Oh, it was a stash. That was standby if anyone could hear the little voice over here to my left. I apparently don't have my lefts and rights today.
It's okay. He could be on your right. No one's going to check it.
No one will know.
But he's been doing a great job producing for us today, giving Death a little information while the refs regroup for an official timeout. And while we have this official timeout, again, hashtag talk to JRDA. Death, what do you got for us?
So standby has just let us know that in the last 5 jams, Tampa has picked up 46 points to Quad City's 13. So
Wow.
we are seeing that point differential growing. Now Quad City and Tampa both doing a good job of keeping things short when they don't have, no lead. Of course, We've seen that a number of times already this game where they've just exchanged trips to the penalty box. And that also really tires skaters out. Now, the winner of this game will play another game today. That's Philadelphia. They'll be up against Philly at 3 o'clock. So energy conservation, not exactly something you want to laugh at. You do want to be thinking about it, although you also want to be skating your heart out so you can win.
Absolutely. We were seeing a couple substitutions from Philly yesterday when they had a good point spread at the beginning. They wanted to save their jammers for the rest of the weekend, which is a very smart move.
Now, right now, because these points are actually quite close still, we're likely not going to see that yet, although Shark Bites did not jam as much in yesterday's game, so perhaps we'll see him out there a bit more today.
Absolutely, and right now we have Frico Suave for Tampa going up against Goldie Knox.
Goldie Knox. And we do have the Quad City pivot in the box right now.
Quad City sending another blocker to the penalty box.
Goldie
down 2
Knox
blockers.
on a fabulous apex jump there on turn 2.
And Frico Suave going to the penalty box, making this a power jam for Goldie Knox.
And it looks like the offensive move that Goldie Knox was calling for may have been executed but didn't quite work, got him knocked out. That wall by Tampa not being able to close the outside line fast enough. Goldie Knox through with 5 points, and a toe stop has been lost.
And that is dangerous, not only for the obstruction that it puts on the track, but without toe stops, it's really hard to get the control you need out here.
Goldie Knox, though, seems to prefer just jumping, so even without toe stops, has no problem getting airborne there. Now, it's not Goldie Knox's toe stop. I'm not sure whose it is, but Frico Suave now out at the front of the pack.
And through for putting 4 points on for Tampa.
Goldie Knox trying to do a little bit of defense. Sometimes when you are that jammer stuck at the back, you can help your team that way, and it can be very effective because, of course, a jammer is a blocker with the privilege of scoring points.
Something that I was seeing a lot of yesterday is the jammers were knocking out the other jammer and then skating backwards really quickly. Not only is that smart because it eats up time, but it works if you have a bunch of players in the penalty box.
And now you didn't see the action on screen, but Frico Suave coming in with a quick last-minute slide and picking up 2 points for Tampa on that last pass. Oh, just the track awareness tool time, and that's what we're talking about. It's knowing where everyone is so that even as the jammer, you're like, hey, I have a moment here. I can bump you out. I don't have to just be focused on scoring points. I can add some dynamic play into this, and that's why these teams are here at Champs, and you can see that level. They make it look so easy.
Absolutely, and we have Tinkerbomb with your lead jam for Tampa going against Kitten O'War.
Kitten O'War trying to get around turn 2, but getting swallowed up by that Tampa line. Big hit by number 1124, Hedrick.
Excellent blocking and lateral movements by both sides just off of turn 3. Tinkerbomb finds a hole on the outside and gets through. putting points on the board for Tampa. Tampa on the verge of breaking the century mark with just under 14 minutes left in this period.
And there was a star pass there. Kitten O'War passing it to the pivot, number 630, Jack Skatington. Unfortunately, Skatington did not get a chance to score that round, but that's kind of how those things go. It's putting the pressure on to stop the other team from continuing their scoring passes.
Absolutely, because as we look at the score, they've been keeping them at very low scoring but jams for the last couple of jams. Here now in jam 10, and that's excellent because that lead will not only serve them as a good buffer, but it also gives them a chance to start rotating the jammers for late jams later today.
And Anya Last Nerve decides to try to take the inside, but gets a cut. Not paying attention to that line there. Should be taking a seat in the box.
Ladies man, however, taking full advantage of it
until
a cut track was called, and now I feel like the jammers are having so much fun together. They want to join each other in the box as well.
We'll go with that tool time. Anyway, Anya Last Nerve now just wants to cut through turn 1 so that she can get her initial pass. And for those at home who aren't as familiar, an initial pass to you, it's not for points, it's for lead status. Now, both of those jammers went to the box, so there will be no lead, another 2-minute jam.
And as we said earlier, 2 minutes doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're skating at this level and this intensity, 2 minutes is a long time. And we have a cut track called. Who was that on?
That was on Anya Last Nerve. I saw just on the inside line. She thought she had it, was toe stop, just beautiful weaving, but unfortunately one of those toe stops stepped out of bounds.
And a nice little apex jump from Ladies Man for Quad City, putting 5 on the board.
Quad City setting up here, but getting a clockwise call on one of their skaters.
Ladies Man still trying to power through all the way up to turn 1, now at a dead stop. Tampa's jammer back in, powers through, gets knocked down a little bit, but keeps going and is through.
But coming up against Hot Wheels at the very last end. Both teams, or rather Quad City, picking up 5 points. Of course, having lapped Anya Last Nerve. Anya Last Nerve, though, getting through for another scoring pass of 4 points.
And that's the jam. 8 points for Tampa, 10 for Quad City.
It ends with a few people tripping over, but doesn't seem like any penalties will be assessed for that. Some of the skaters going off looking, a little tired. You can't blame them. We've already had a handful of 2-minute jams, and we still have 10 minutes left in this half.
Just in the half, absolutely.
And as we talked about before, trying to conserve energies. There we go. There's a timeout being called, an official. There we go.
Timeout being called by Quad City.
I was looking at the screen. Don't look at the screen. Look out there. The officials know what they're talking about. So, tool time, what are some of the strengths that you're seeing out there for both teams?
As far as Tampa goes, I'm super familiar with them, being from Florida myself. Their lateral movements are really great. I'm seeing a lot of really great tripods. I'm also seeing if they're not blocking on their own, which they have the capacity to do, especially in a good bridge, they're just very aware and keeping excellent intensity. But Quad City is holding their own. The only thing is a couple of big scoring jams from Tampa have given them that lead, and that smart derby of getting their points and calling it before anything else can get put on has been working out for them. And I'll have to double check with Standby, our producer, but the 11-point jam by Quad City on that last one may be one of their highest scores. Second highest score.
So the top scores so far, we have Frico Suave from Tampa collecting 36 points, and then we have
Goldie Knox
at 21 points for Quad City. And what we're seeing tool time is also Quad City is adapting to some of Tampa's plays. We're seeing that even though one of their skaters got a clockwise call, they were trying to build that effective offense from the front. So we are seeing people developing and showing some of their strengths. All right, we have Shark Bites on for Tampa, coming through for another scoring trip through the pack.
And we have Goldie Knox out there for Quad City again. Goldie Knox being the top scorer for Quad City so far in the first half.
Goldie Knox taking advantage of any line that's been open. We've seen 3 or 4 apex jumps already from Goldie Knox. Successful apex jumps.
And that's something that's unique to junior roller derby. You see a lot more almost acrobatic maneuvers being pulled off from these young athletes.
All right. Trying to come up against that wall. Both teams. We do have a stop block call assessed to number 123 Pink Nightmare. That's Quad City. And a low block call being assessed to
number 800, but they're back out, so I guess the call was overruled. And, an excellent block by Tampa just off the jammer line for 800 slam.
There were 2 blockers in the box. This is why we have standby. He's got a great view of the penalty box, and he let us know. So it wasn't quite a dismissal of a penalty. This happens quite often in roller derby. You can't just have everybody in the penalty box. Derby has to happen, so you need to have a pack, you need to have skaters, and it is up to the discretion of that penalty box official to say, hey, you're going to just stay on the track for a second.
Absolutely, and as far as penalties, the first call of the game that I got to do with Gretchen yesterday, Philly versus California. California almost with a rotating door at the penalty box. In some of the games we've seen today, that has been a big issue. So that's another reason why Tampa has been putting good points on the board, because other teams' blockers have been in. And now with even once one of the blockers is up, another one's going to be going right back in.
Tool time, what we're also seeing is that teams, I'm hoping, will be looking at this footage and going, wow, there was a penalty that didn't need to happen. And that's not saying the refs made a bad call. That's just saying this is poor body awareness. So everyone's got great track awareness going on, but what are your limbs doing?
Exactly.
How come those forearms are extending? Why weren't you able to pull back and control? And that's what these competitions are about, though, these tournaments, is a chance to see gameplay evolve even within a day. And you're seeing some skaters who maybe had a lot of penalties early on come back with a better mental game and an understanding that they can control and limit that from happening.
Absolutely, and we've seen a couple of teams just make dramatic changes from the first half to the second half. That's why it's important to have not only good coaching staff, but to have good team captains, because they'll go on like, this is what we're falling into trouble with, so this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to handle it. Because you see some teams that will put huge point spreads on the first half, and then we see it get whittled away slowly but surely in the second half. If I remember the score correctly, with Angel City and FOCO yesterday, that's exactly what happened in the female division. FOCO had a commanding lead, and Angel City just kept chipping away at it and just came out of it.
And that's why I personally love roller derby, because there's nothing is set. When you're talking about the first half of a game, you still have so much more derby left coming back in the second. And right now we still have 8 minutes and 50 seconds left in this half here, so we're just on an official review right now.
And sometimes all it takes is a really good jam to get back in the game. Later on today on the stream, we're going to have Logan Childs, a former junior skater, skater for the Magic City Misfits men team in Florida. He's going to be doing a call later today, and I believe it was me and Standby. His team was down, and then he busted out a 40-point jam.
And we're seeing that here because these skaters are so fast. They're able to cut down that time around the track, whereas maybe the average for certain adults would be a 10-second trip around to then get back to the engagement zone. 5 seconds.
Absolutely.
Less than that we're seeing here.
And we have Abby Normal out there for Tampa going up against Ladies Man. I think this is the first time we've seen Abby Normal.
Yes, it is. We have not seen her yet this bout, but she picked up lead. Now, of course, she did have the power start. Oh, no. No, she didn't. My apologies. The other jammers there.
And there's Quad City's blocker going to the penalty box. Quad City down 2 blockers. They're Jack Skatington standing in the box.
All right, ladies' man doing a little dance on turn 2 to get out on the outside line. And Abby Normal listening to her coaches and the bench screaming to call it now. That's also another big part of Derby and why if you have not taken in a live event, you need to, because there's nothing like being there and seeing all the moving parts. You have third base coaches, you have the coaches and the bench telling you what to do and trying to keep track of it all.
And it seems we have some information from our producer standby. What do we got?
It says Abby skated in the Minis Expo this morning, and that was before the first official game. So Abby has been up pretty early today. Yes, there were some very sweet little Derby stars taking the track earlier today.
And Frico Suave out there jamming for Tampa, getting your lead jam, going up against Hedrick. I think we may have another first. I don't recall seeing Hedrick on the jammer line earlier today.
And Frico Suave and Hedrick about a half track apart right now, which is a long time. As I said, these speeds, it seems to be a pretty nasty hit there taken by one of the Quad City skaters. Oh.
That's something else to point into to touch on. These hits, these aren't little like love taps. These are full-blown annihilating hits. We saw a lot of those with Tap yesterday, especially against Philly, if I remember correctly. Huge hits, because when you have Tomahawk out there and you have Ari Cantrell going against each other, that is just smash all around.
Don't let the word junior affect how you look at the skill level here. As I mentioned, skaters out there with a decade of experience, learning from some of the best in our sport. And there we go, we have Disgracer, first time with the star on her head to start, grabbing lead as well. She's been a pivot for most of the game so far.
Tinkerbomb still trying to make something happen in the track off turn 2, gets through the initial pass.
Disgracer grabbing 5 points. Calling for some offense, but getting a little tripped up on the last line and just trying to call it.
Oh, and at the last second, Tampa's jammer getting to the penalty box for a back block. That's going to make this a power star for Quad City, who's starting to put more and more points on the board.
Quad City also picking up 2 points for their efforts.
So current score is 138-47 with just over 5.5 minutes left in this first half here at JRDA Champs here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And it looks like Hedrick is going to take that power start. The blockers up at the pivot line. Hedrick now working through, spinning, completes those pirouettes to grab lead. Coming up on the pack for that straightaway there between turns 3 and 4.
Finds an excellent hole on the outside. Gets knocked out by number 7 for Tampa, Haley Dubinsky, who's the team captain and has just been a solid skater for so long.
She is aging out this year, and she is also on Team USA East. The last 2 jams, we're hearing from standby, it's been 11-0 in terms of points for Quad City.
And Quad City with a couple of the skaters aging out, Disgracer and Ironman, as well as Hedrick, who we just saw jam, are aging out this season. So what a way to finish off your junior career than JRDA Champs.
And Tinkerbomb coming up against just a solid line from Quad City.
And enjoying a power jam with Goldie Knox in the penalty box.
And what teams have to do is to try to stop or try to slow down the jammer to limit how much time they would have on a penalty kill.
An excellent attempt to block, but Tinkerbomb just skipping on that inside line, getting through, putting 5 on the board for Tampa. Goldie Knox out of the pack and coming in hot. Excellent lateral movement by Tampa, blocking them to the inside.
Do you see a low block call being assessed to someone?
It looks like number 800 for Quad City. That's Slam.
Now, Slam and Kitten O'War were both at the very first practice ever held by Quad City Rollers Junior Derby.
I'm still getting used to the fact that some of the juniors are considered old school, and some of them have been with it since its very first game.
Oh, yeah, and they formed in 2009 Tool Time.
Wow.
And we have Shark Bites with lead once more, having a very effective game as a jammer.
Awesome Sauce jamming for Quad City, and we're seeing Quad City change up their jammer rotations quite a bit at the tail end of the first half.
Unfortunately, Awesome Sauce was sent to the penalty box. Standby on a cut. All right. When we say standby, that is actually a person. It's a name.
5 points on the board for Tampa on this pass. 155 to 51. Just over 2 minutes left in the first half. But still, anything can happen. Some teams are really strong in the first half. Others are really strong in the second half.
And Quad City has been making those incremental point jumps. Once again, we're seeing, though, those trips to the penalty box.
Absolutely. And something I wanted to touch on a while ago, whenever your jammer was in the penalty box, the thought process was to speed up the pack and just start sprinting and forcing them to keep up.
And the reason behind that would be so that you can save your points, because of course you only get the points if if that other jammer passes your hips.
Exactly, but then teams started to counter with making them destroy the pack, so they started making them play their game, and the sport has just changed so much in the last couple of years, and we have a cleanup on turn 1. An apex jump by Awesome Sauce attempted, but goes right into the back of one of the Tampa skaters.
We'll see how this goes here, how this develops. Looks like the referees are calling for some medical help. And at this time, we always want to thank all the medical staff who come out and spend their days at these tournaments. We would not be able to play Derby without it. Safety is the most important part of this game. It's why we wear the equipment. It's why we have the 7 referees, why we stop plays when someone's injured.
Absolutely, and JRDA is great about that. If a skater is down for too long, they will call it regardless of gameplay, because the safety of the skater is much more important than the game itself. And again, we have excellent EMTs here. We have the refs out there dealing in front of the skaters, just because when you go down, you don't want everyone looking at you. So they do that to give the EMTs some privacy and give the skaters some privacy. But she is back up. We
are hearing some applause. Of course, there's always silence when something like this happens. It might seem dramatic, but it's so that the communication can happen easily between the medical team.
Yes, because you don't want loud music playing, so the EMTs are having to shout like, "Are you okay?" And you can't hear what they're saying. So looks like they're taking her off track for just a minute just to get checked out while the refs discuss what just happened there.
And that's a really good point, is the refs will be discussing the action from the beginning to the end, who saw what. And if you don't know how the referee structure works, we do have inside pack refs. They're monitoring the action happening from their vantage inside the track, and outside pack refs who are able to get a very close look at what's happening from their point of view. Jammer referees can also provide some really good insight, because if they're looking and they can see that action happening, which Awesome Sauce was the jammer, referee would have likely had eyes on them.
Absolutely, and it looks like Quad City has called an official review on that play, which I don't blame them. As far as point scores on this game, we have 7, 8, 9 Shark Bites from Tampa, 49 points.
Alrighty, and then we have number 1217 from Quad City. I'm just trying to find that
No,
number.
that's Frico Suave from Tampa. Apologies.
With 45 points.
But another great thing that I love seeing at JRDA events is the coaches come up respectfully. They're not running out looking with the "why is this happening" look. They walk up very calmly. They ask very politely, what is the penalty here? What do we need to do? They respect the game and appreciate the effort made by the volunteers that are out here making this happen.
And you brought up such a good point, Tool Time. Volunteers. We're all here because we love this sport and we want to see it grow, and we want to make sure that other people know all about roller derby. So if you are watching and you're thinking this might be a great sport for my kid, please look up and see if there's any roller derby junior associations or possibly senior groups in your area that you could get involved with. And you don't even have to be a skater. If you just want to get involved, you can become like us, an announcer, or
Absolutely.
do some calls. You can also be a non-skating official. So when we say NSOs, that's what we mean.
Exactly.
And those are the scorekeepers, the jam timers, the penalty trackers, the penalty timers. So many roles that are so important.
Absolutely, and even if you don't have a derby league near you, you can form a derby league. You could throw a rock in any direction and you will find a derby league in that direction and say, hey, I'm thinking about starting a junior roller derby league. Would you mind coming to help out? And I guarantee you'll have like 5 skaters out there in a hot minute.
And just consider this, derby is happening in more than 50 countries right now that we know of in terms of the groups that are recognized.
Yes, that's just the recognized ones. We have rec leagues. We have just ones that are starting to get into it. Jacksonville started off as a rec league, and now they're one of the top teams in the country.
Yeah. That was just the number of countries I'm talking about. And then
Yes.
within those, we're seeing hundreds of leagues popping up. So when we talk about derby growing and expanding, that's what we mean. And that's why coming to events like the Junior Roller Derby Association Championships, you're seeing the next generation of derby. You're seeing how the game is going to evolve. They are ahead of us in so many ways with what they can do out there. Like those apex jumps.
Like the apex jumps. And something else to bring up before we get back to it, keep an eye on the teams that are near or associated with the adult divisions, because we're seeing a lot of skaters age out and go into the adult teams. I know Tampa's got a couple of people on their A squad that aged up from junior roller derby with all of that experience. So if you're an adult league, invest in a junior team, because that is an investment in your own league. And who do we have out there right now, Neil?
We have Frico Suave jamming for Tampa.
And we have Hedrick out there for Quad City.
And looks like Hedrick's playing some head games here with Frico Suave. Oh, doing the negative lap possibly? Oh, it does not look like Frico Suave wants to play that game.
Well, it's an excellent thing to do when you have the lead, but when Tampa has the lead that they have right now, why should he bother wasting his energy? He still has an entire second half to play in less than 30 seconds.
Sometimes, Tool Time, you're just testing to see, oh, does that other skater have the knowledge that I have? Could I possibly get a cut track? But Tampa's number 1110, that's Little Miss Perfect with a big knock to the inside on Quad City.
And we have the official review in. You want to read that off to us?
So Tampa was asking for an egregious block call that would have been on the jammer trying to execute, the Quad City jammer trying to execute that apex jump, but the no call stands.
Okay.
Thank you to Standby, our stats and producer, for this bout.
Frico Suave putting another 5 points on the board for Tampa. Hedrick being the 5th blocker out there for Quad City.
Not sure if he's looking to pass the star or just looking to stash it. The stash really is effective if you're able to create confusion of, oh, am I trying to get the pivot? But now if you see on the screen, we got both pivots up against each other at the front of the pack, getting distracted there.
Absolutely, an amazing pack awareness, because when it was first brought in, no one knew what was going on, and it was still illegal. It was still a legal move, and jammers were just flying through packs, and that is the first half.
We do have a clarification. Standby just mentioned that it was actually Quad City asking for the egregious block call, not Tampa.
Okay,
but
there we go.
Either way, the no call stands. And a reminder, too, that no calls are a call. Right?
Exactly.
That's a decision by the referee. So we go into the half with Tampa at 189, Quad City at 51. And we do want to remind everyone that you are joining us live all weekend here. You're watching the 2018 Junior Roller Derby Association Championships on WFTDA.tv. So stay tuned all weekend. We have 2 tracks. Right now, this is the open division that you're watching. We also have the female division. It's hosted by JRDA and Philly Roller Derby.
Absolutely, and if you enjoy hashtagging, and I know you do, definitely be sure to hashtag Talk2JRDA. That's talk, the number 2, JRDA. And also hashtag JRDA Champs. Let us know what you think. Give your skaters some support, and just let us know how we're doing.
We'll be back soon. I'm Deathnella.
And I'm Tool Time. As you were seeing, that was Catman doing an interview, someone that I was able to do a stream with last year at Loveland, Colorado for the 2017 JRDA Champs. I'm Tool Time.
And I'm Deathnella.
And we've had an excellent game so far, a very clean game. We have had a bit of penalty trouble, but it hasn't been like in a negative way. It's just not being a little bit outside the lines. We haven't had any like aggression in the bad way.
We're seeing a lot of track cuts, and then we're seeing clockwise directional hits, but it's always just that bit of impact when a team is trying to initiate those offensive maneuvers, and that is just sort of the growing pains of getting used to the way that Derby has developed in the last couple of years, where it's defense O, and it's a quick back and forth. Juniors are really effective at this because that's a lot of their education has been in the last few years coming up in those ranks. Now we have seen that there are some skaters who've been involved, especially with both of these teams, for almost a decade. So lots of veterans out there on the track.
And another thing to keep in mind, especially like with Quad City or with Tampa, you're used to having the same kind of refs, and once the refs get used to seeing those teams skating, they see like, oh, that's not really a forearm or this or that. So when you have a completely new ref set out there, it's the things that you have been able to get by in your home league don't necessarily fly when you're at a tournament level like this, and that just helps them grow as skaters and just clean up their game even more.
Really great point, Tool Time. Trying to get referees in from outside groups is always a good way to improve as players, as skaters, and same for the refs. I'm sure they appreciate a chance to look at some new athletes and how they move, because everyone's gameplay is a little different.
And even the officials are gaining experience, and even the announcers are gaining experience by working with new people. But right now we have Frico Suave out there for Tampa going up against Goldie Knox for Quad City. Who's got the lead?
That would be Frico Suave, although Goldie Knox just getting out of turn 1 there on the initial. Frico Suave deciding to shut down Quad City, shut out rather. No points there, but 4 for Tampa. Now we are seeing some of the stats from our wonderful producer Standby showing us who scored what. Let's start with Quad City. So in the first half, number 101, that's Gold Enox, who we just saw jamming out there, scored 21 points. Definitely the leader in points there. And number 354, Ladies Man, scoring 17. 1124 Hedrick with 4 points, and the number 325 Sasquatch with 2.
And we have Ladies Man out there again, but going to the penalty box for a cut track. That's good to make this a power jam for Tinkerbomb, who's been doing some really impressive stuff out there. Tinkerbomb with 33 points in the last half.
Now Tampa also having a much tighter jammer rotation. Quad City allowing some of the other skaters to come through and change things up. And that can be a really effective tool time, because it allows a little bit of surprise, the element of surprise, right? You have a new jammer. How is this person going to react? What kind of power do they have? What's their dynamic? So it can be really effective. It can also have the opposite effect where you're not allowing them enough time out there to really get the feel of the blockers.
Exactly, and when you mix it up like that, like say you're primarily a blocker, if you go out there as a jammer, you're already used to going up against strong walls. You have that power and energy to go through, and as you just said, the other team doesn't know how you skate, so it just mixes it up and you see if that formula works. But right now we have Anya Last Nerve with Tampa getting your lead jam.
And she did so well before the pivot line. An effective offense there. The Quad City wall, very fierce, slowing her down, trying to. Now they're bridging out, as you can see. Anya Last Nerve out of the pack, though.
Putting 5 points on the board for Tampa. Ladies man still trying to get through the initial pass with the cover stashed. Tampa not biting, though, and it looks like Hedrick may get past, but gets another cut track. So that ladies man has been the last jam and this jam in the penalty box, and that's working in Anya Last Nerve's favor.
The Quad City tripod, very effective at stopping Anya Last Nerve in her tracks. And Hedrick really showing his skill out there at the very top of the pack. That is something, that is a position where all eyes are on you as well, not only because you're the last line of defense until your teammates can come up and recycle with you, but also because you are very clearly open to all the referees seeing your action. So you have to be very clean and clear with what you're doing.
Absolutely, and right now we have Shark Bites out there with a power start. Little Apex jump on the inside, gets through for your lead jam. And Ladies Man is standing in the penalty box, so he'll get out there to rejoin the pack soon.
The pack just moving ever so slightly ahead. Really smart decisions sometimes to not be in the corners for jammers because it allows them the opportunity to apex jump, and we've seen a number of that, especially from Quad City today.
Absolutely. Ladies man now back in the pack, still stashing the cover, finds a hole on the outside, completes the initial pass. An excellent spinning maneuver just past the jammer line, gets through the initial pass.
Yeah, getting by Captain Haley Dubinsky from Tampa Bay.
And that's 4 points on the board for Anya Last Nerve.
What an incredible effort by Quad City there. Just that spinning and spinning around and around. And a note on the star stash. So there used to be a rule that you could really physically stash it, hide it almost, or not a rule so much as a lack of a rule where you could do that. Now, of course, you have to have it somewhere visible so that we know who has it even if it's not on your head.
Exactly. And right now we have Frico Suave out there for Tampa going up against Goldie Knox. Goldie Knox taken back behind the jammer line. Frico Suave turning to the lead jam off of turn 2.
And this is a rematch of jammers. Looks like the Quad City pivot saying, hey, I'm here. Reminder, positioned well. Hedrick is positioned well at the front of the pack. Looks like Goldie Knox doesn't need that help. Oh, out with a cut track, though.
So something also to keep in mind, like especially if your jammer's going to the penalty box, that makes it very difficult for the pack. Cause it's great because now they just need to focus on defense, but especially with point spreads, that's double the work.
Of course, you can't score without having your jammer on the track or having that star out there.
And then as I said, with the penalties on both sides, that could definitely affect gameplay here in the second half. 5 points on the board for Frico Suave, now a 15-point jam.
And it looks like Sasquatch going out there trying to slow things down at the top of the pack. The jam is called. Both teams will be at full strength. Penalty box appears to be cleared now.
And we have Ladies Man taking the line for Quad City.
And in the last 5 jams we're seeing here, or the first 5 jams of the second half, that Quad City has 3 jammer penalties and hasn't had an opportunity to score yet.
Ladies Man out there for Quad City powers through and gets your lead jam. So their first lead jam at the still very new second half.
Yes, lots of derby ahead of us. Tinkerbomb caught up there, turn 2 on those Quad City skaters. The pack sort of splits up. What's happening is what I like to call the human pyloning, where you're unable to be in your tripod. And we all know how to weave around a cone, and that's sort of what happens when an offense is effective in smashing up lines on both teams. You essentially become 8 little pylons instead of, you know, a solid wall that you can't get through.
I'm going to use that one, so I hope it's
That's totally okay.
I hope that phrase is open domain because I'm
yes,
taking it.
Yes, it is.
All right, and we have Goldie Knox out there again for Quad City.
And Anya Last Nerve in her typical starting stance, just off to the inside. It's got to be a little bit intimidating not knowing where someone's going to go when they have the same start every time. Seeing some really effective bridging there by Quad City, trying to stretch that pack around the turn, and at the very least slowing down the Tampa jammer.
Tampa sending a blocker to the penalty box. That's number 41, Sonic Boom.
Seeing some really sharp one-on-one blocking there by Quad City. I believe that's Sasquatch up at the top. And as I mentioned, sometimes what your goal is slowing things down. You obviously don't want anyone to score on you, but even just limiting the amount of time in a jam that they can even get around to score again.
A fancy spin move by Anya Last Nerve on the inside of turn 4. Gets the points and calls it.
Yeah, oh, I thought that may have been a star pass, but it was a stash. Goldie Knox there. Looks like Goldie Knox might be having a conversation with the jammer ref about a possible penalty on someone else. Jammers and their referees have a really interesting relationship, and if you can have a good one, it's great because you can communicate with them. You can tell them, hey, I'm going to go in the pack and watch me because I'm going to call it off if you have lead. And doing that really helps the referee. It helps you. Of course, jammer referees are also likely the ones who are going to send you to the penalty box.
Exactly.
When they see that.
Right now we have Shark Bites for Tampa going against Ladies Man. Shark Bite with your lead jam for Tampa.
Oh, but look at the speed from Ladies Man.
Tampa's still down 1 blocker, so the pack advantage is definitely to Quad City.
And it looks like Ladies Man may have, did not squeak out with a point.
And no one squeaked out with any points on that one.
It was so fast, I really wasn't sure. And as I've said on some of my other calls, though, I did get a chance to try some reffing, and wow, what a different view of the game you have when you're there.
Right?
So you got to trust what they're seeing. They're able to see those hips because that's what you need to pass in order to get that point, and it has to be by that whistle in order to get it.
And it also gives you a great perspective because not only do you have to watch the hips, you have to watch the arms, you have to watch the legs, you have to watch the helmets,
yes.
You have to watch everything all at once. And I encourage all skaters to ref at least one game so they can see what it is.
But looking at what we need to watch right now, Goldie Knox with some gorgeous spinning out and now has the advantage of a power jam. There was a cut track called on Frico Suave. An attempted apex jump. We're trying to figure out who's getting the whistle called there.
And that looks like it's on Tampa, so Goldie Knox still in.
And it looks like there is a cut track assisted. Goldie Knox maybe did not see the Tampa skater who went back around turn 2. Not sure. It was a bit of a long way for Goldie Knox to take to get to the bench. You can go either direction around the track.
And I am very happy with that rule change because not only does it help the officials, it also helps the teams.
Well, and we want derby to happen. I feel like that's always the ultimate goal. So they're going to sit the penalty, and your penalty time, 30 seconds typically, unless you're a jammer, that can change. you will be sitting. It starts when you sit. So if you decide you're going to take a bit of a slow skate to the box, that's your disadvantage.
And I'm also glad that they changed a couple years ago the amount of time spent in the Derby penalty box for penalties, because it used to be upwards of a minute for just one penalty. And when Derby was still new and fresh, that wasn't a big deal. But now that we're at this competitive level with all these amazing athletes, 1 minute can like make or break a game.
And we're seeing here already Goldie Knox out on the track, had already had a scoring pass. So this is the second scoring pass since getting out of the box. And that's what we're seeing, right? 30 seconds, it can really hurt a team. But then if you come out with the mental focus to get out there and get the job done, you can still end up scoring. And yesterday, we saw some skaters who were in the penalty box outscoring their opponents. And that's
Absolutely.
why blockers' defense is so important.
Absolutely. And when touching on what you said earlier with the relationship between the jammer and the jam ref, again, with new reffing staff here, it's like building a whole new rapport with someone. Like in Jacksonville, when I used to skate, I knew all the jam refs. So when I heard the whistle blow, I would look at him, like, yeah, I know I cut track. And I would look at him like, yeah, I know, don't make the signal. I'm going.
And we have some incredible officials here at this tournament. And coming up, the Derby action keeps going. You can join us live on twitch.tv this Monday and Tuesday, for the Junior Roller Derby World Cup. It's happening right here in PA. So streaming live by WFTDA, and you can head to twitch.tv/WFTDA and watch both days for free.
Absolutely, and you'll be seeing me, Tool Time, and Nella here with me for that stream, and I am super excited. Right now, Haley Dubinsky out there jamming for Tampa, and that's the first time we've seen her with the star cover.
There. Yeah,
words are hard.
It is early on in the day. Remember, this is the first game of many for day 2 of the 2018 JRDA Champs.
And Dubinsky going to enjoy a power jam on this one as Ladies Man goes to the penalty box. Dubinsky doing some great stuff out there, putting 5 points on the board for Tampa. And did our producer have something for us?
Sure did. Stand by, let us know that this is the 5th jammer penalty for Quad City this half.
That's something that's really important to keep in mind, too. With all the penalties in the first half, that could start affecting your second half, because not only do you have that point difference from being in the penalty box, but if you foul out, you're down one of your most productive jammers.
Definitely something you have to consider. Look at that line, though. Quad City line holding up Dubinsky there at the front, not letting her get by until she gets some assistance from a teammate. Of course, power jams are also a chance for the blockers to really take time to execute the offense that they'd like to see. Playing some pinball there with the blockers.
And Ladies Man going to the penalty box again. So Haley Dubinsky has enjoyed a couple of power jams in this one. So that's not a bad start to the day for your first time out there on the track with the star helmet.
Quad City. Good push there by Slam. And when I say push, Slam shoving Jack Skatington into the jammer. I'm smiling because I mainly block, so I'm usually that little person. Yes. Yeah. I'm usually the little one getting thrown around, which I'm fine with that.
When I skated, I was fine with it too. I'm just skating along like I'm in the pack, I'm doing well, and then all of a sudden I have like a giant launching me across the track. And what do you got from our producer?
So stand by pointing out that Captain Haley Dubinsky for Tampa getting the most points this half so far with 24. There haven't been too many double-digit scoring jams this half so far. So 24 points on that last effort there. And Quad City putting on just a few more points in the last several jams there.
And with Tampa doing a great job holding the point spread for Quad City, don't let that be a mark against Quad City, because they are still making their jammers work for every single point they're getting.
Well, Tool Time, one of the things that I find so incredible about Quad City is hearing their story. So I told you that they formed in 2009. They have two skaters, Slam and Kitten O'War, who were there at that very first practice, still skating here today. That's incredible. And they've basically played unsanctioned games all the way until this year. And so when they emerged in the rankings, they came in 14th. Number 4. I don't even want to tell you where where I'm at on the it's in the triple digits. So that is what an impressive showing. And we were talking about this in the half, and I said Quad City has really shown that they deserve to be here, and they are going to learn so much from this tournament moving forward, because their skaters are showing incredible diversity in skills.
Absolutely. And something else to point out, with the last game of the day over on the female division, it was Jacksonville Junior Roller Derby versus Los Anarchists. Los Anarchists, this is their first appearance in JRDA championships, and they took out a regular 4 championships. Jacksonville going there multiple times, and they took them out.
And Quad City, they have not played any of the, they don't have any sanctioned records, rather, against any of the 2018 champs opponents in the open division. They haven't played any of them. So this really is dipping their feet in very new water, and they have a lot to be proud of.
And the other great thing about this being their first showing, no matter what, it's still a personal best.
Exactly. You have a baseline on where to go. And look at that. Jack Skatington taking the star this time for Quad City. The jam was rather fast there. Frico Suave was on the line for Tampa.
Calling it, keeping Quad City at the shutting them out for points.
And a reminder as well that the winner of this game will take on Philly at 3 o'clock. That's 3 p.m. Eastern, right here at WFTDA.tv. And then whoever loses the game will play at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and they'll play the opponent, the loser of the next game that's coming up.
Absolutely, and that's good. Like we said, there's a fun-filled day of Derby for everyone here, so we want to thank you for joining us on WFTDA.tv.
Looks like Shark Bites got a track cut call being sent to the penalty box, a power jam for Gold E. Knox.
And as we said earlier, Gold E. Knox was the top scorer for Quad City, so an excellent debut for Gold E. Knox out here at JRDA Champs in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And
it looks like the jam will go a full 2 minutes, because while Gold E. Knox was eligible for lead, there was a no-earned pass that happened, and therefore will be skating full 2 minutes, although there is a black block call being assessed to Gold E. Knox.
Just in time for Shark Bites to get out of the penalty box and get in. So that's excellent for Tampa, because now Goldie Knox has to serve the full term. Shark Bites doing some work. Some excellent blocking just off of the pivot line. Quad City sending a blocker to the penalty box.
Quad City also trying to slow things down. Slam, I've noticed, taking that position up at the front of the pack.
All right, and Goldie Knox is back in. Taken out to the outside by number 998 from Tampa. I'm sorry, no, that's 888, Peaches and Screams.
And now we see Goldie Knox trying to knock around. That's probably the better term there. Shark Bites.
And for those of you watching, you'll see Mayhem standing on the sidelines ready to go for their game coming up. They're in the orange jerseys. But an excellent jam by Tampa on that one, putting 10 on the board to Quad Cities 2 with just 12 minutes left in this game.
And a reminder that the high-level roller derby will keep on rolling. The 2018 WFTDA Continental Cups will be streamed live right here on WFTDA.tv. It starts, this is happening in less than a month till time, starting in the North America East from Kalamazoo, Michigan. That's August 17th through 19th, and is hosted by Kalamazoo Derby Darlings.
Yes, WFTDA will be having a couple of tournaments coming up, and I think I know someone who's going to be there.
Oh, who could that be? No, there's a number of announcers that you're hearing here today who will be on their way to Omaha, Nebraska as well. That's for North America West for the 2018 WFTDA Continental Cup there, hosted by Omaha Roller Girls, August 24th to 26th. All right, back to the action. Frico Suave with lead. An Ironman out there for Quad City. Bit of a spill on turn 2. Both skaters appear to be okay and moving on. Ironman, is this the first time we've seen Ironman stand by?
This is the first time we've seen Ironman.
With the star on, rather, I should say.
And for those of you wondering, with the name that's on the screen, FE is the symbol for iron. So for those of you who are science buffs, this is quite hilarious.
Yes, I think it's a very clever way of writing the name. So our pronunciation is Iron Man. It works. All right. Seeing a little bit of a slow and controlled big hit by Sasquatch, trying to open a line, but
big apex jump by Frico Suave between turns 3 and 4.
And we see a star pass to Hedrick from the Quad City Rollers. But just as Hedrick tries to come up on the Tampa wall, it is called off. And yes, I did have a little hiccup there.
It's okay.
I hope that doesn't last.
So something with the Iron Man name having female on there. One of my favorite things with Derby All Leagues is just the clever names that people come up with, like Gold Enox and everything along those lines. It's just a lot of fun, and that's why you should form your own junior league, just because it's fun to have your own Derby name. Like, my actual name is Tim Allen.
Yes, exactly. So tool time.
Exactly. But right now we have Tinker Bomb out there for Tampa going up against Goldie Knox.
Goldie Knox showing that he has no problem working very tight to the inside line.
And Tinker Bomb coming up fast on the back. Calls it off.
And it looks to be scoreless for both.
But an excellent strategy by Goldie Knox.
Definitely. And we did want to mention the very final Continental Cup for this year's 2018 WFTDA will be in Europe, and it's hosted by Birmingham Blitz Dames on October 27th through 28th. And you can get your watch passes July 31st, and that's sneaking up on us. It's already the 21st right now, so 10 days from now.
Absolutely. And definitely be sure to join us Monday on July 23rd for when we start the Junior World Cup. You'll be able to watch that live on twitch.tv. And head to twitch.tv/WFTDA and watch both days for free.
And getting back to the action at hand, we're now fast moving on turn 3, going into turn 4. Big hit on Anya Last Nerve there.
That was by number 02, T-Rex Lex. A strong hit on that one.
Showing she's not fazed by that. Talking about the blocker there.
Yeah.
We do have one in the box for Tampa. That's Lemonade. And we're seeing Awesome Sauce out. First appearance in the second half.
Absolutely. Going to begin shark bites. Tampa still holding tight to their jammer rotation.
Gets knocked back, though, by Little Miss Perfect. That's Awesome Sauce. And we do have an illegal procedure call on Awesome Sauce.
Shark bites, on the other hand, with some fancy moves off of turn 3, but gets taken back. Calls it, giving Tampa a power start, but putting 5 points on the board for Tampa.
Decides it's probably not worth going all the way back, trying to fight through again. If you've got the points too, and this is where I'm so impressed by all the athletes and skaters I've seen here today and over the last day, is just that ability to know, to keep track of who they've passed, what they've passed, when to call things. Of course, you can hear it from the bench, but understanding that yourself too. Absolutely,
and right now we have Abby Normal out there for Tampa, who's the first time we've seen her on the jammer line.
This period, yes. She did manage to score a few points in her first appearance last half.
Right you are.
Awesome Sauce now back on the track, trying to use the little bit of distraction. There's speed. Awesome Sauce has just fast feet. Going into the danger zones of Derby, as I like to call it, the inside and outside lanes, it's a lot riskier because you're obviously at risk of getting knocked out and dragged back, as we see there by Little Miss Perfect.
And the conditioning that these skaters are in is just amazing because they're still holding up the same level of intensity as they did early on, even with all these dragbacks and all these pushing of the walls.
And we're seeing Abby Normal also getting caught up there on Sasquatch.
Looks like Sasquatch.
Awesome Sauce with a cut track, though, now going to the penalty box. Hedrick, yeah. Both of us seeing that action happening and the camera just catching up there.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Okay. Abby Normal pushing up against Sasquatch.
Hedrick forming a great 3-person wall just off of turn 3, covering almost the entirety of the track and keeping Abby Normal in the basket, as it were.
Her teammates deciding to stay at the back, try to stop the Quad City Jammer, but Awesome Sauce breaks through.
And that's the initial pass for Awesome Sauce. We're going to see if some points can get on. It's going to be tight.
And you can see Abby Normal just getting caught up there by Sasquatch. But all of these athletes showing their fight and their tremendous skill. We still have just over 4 minutes left in the second half. It's Tampa Bay versus Quad City Rollers. This is the open division, and a reminder that the winner of this game will play again today. So they've expended some energy. They're likely going to need to recoup. They'll be going on to play Philly Roller Derby at 3 o'clock today. That's 3 p.m. Eastern, and you can watch it live right where you are right now, WFTDA.tv.
And also be sure to let us know how we're doing and give us your thoughts and just support the great skaters that are out here on Twitter with the hashtag Talk2JRDA. That's talk, the number 2, JRDA. If you got questions about the awesome action you're seeing here this weekend, use that hashtag to chat with us on Twitter. And don't forget to follow JRDA on Twitter using @JRDA_rocks. But also use the hashtag JRDAChamps.
Yes,
so
there's so many ways to get involved. That's the beauty of Twitter. As well, we do want to let you know that the 2018 International WFTDA playoffs, that starts at the end of next month, August 31st through September 2nd in beautiful A Coruña, Spain, and is hosted by As Brigantias Roller Derby. And then we head to Atlanta, Georgia for the second playoff hosted by Atlanta Roller Girls, September 21st through the 23rd.
You are so much better at saying that word than I would have been. I would have butchered that. So good on you, Nella.
Thank you, Tool Time.
And finally, our 2018 International WFTDA Championships will be hosted by Big Easy Roller Girls on November 9th through the 11th in New Orleans, Louisiana. Tickets go on sale for playoffs now at WFTDA.com/tournaments. If you haven't made the trip to New Orleans in your lifetime, you gotta do it.
I know, I haven't been myself, so I'm trying to figure out how to make that happen.
If only you had a new friend in the South that you could stop by on your way to New Orleans.
Maybe. There's nothing like it. I'm from Saskatchewan, Canada. For those who maybe do not know me, hello from the Great White North. Although it's quite beautiful and warm right now, and it's just such a pleasure to be. I love coming to the U.S. and Philadelphia. Or rather Pennsylvania. This is my second time ever, but also my second time in 6 months. So look at that. You guys made me fall in love.
Same here. I was here earlier when Philadelphia was hosting a mini tournament for the juniors. Had a great time. Of course, I had to have the Philly cheesesteak,
Yep.
which was amazing. I got to go to downtown Philadelphia. I was joined by our producer, Standby, where we went on all sorts of adventures, like the marketplace, which is a flea market of amazing food. And then we went to the U.S. Mint, and he made the amazing comment that you're not allowed to take pictures inside the U.S. Mint, which makes sense.
I love it. All right.
That is top quality work from a Standby who will be on the stream later on today.
Yes, actually on the very next call. I'm looking forward to working with him, and I want everyone to see his purple shirt that he's wearing right now. All right, Frico Suave out with lead. We have Bulletproof for the first time with the star this bout.
Absolutely, through the initial pass.
Look at that speed. Oh, rather, you can't see it yet. There you go. Now he appears on your screen, flying around that corner, or turns rather. Gretchen made a really good point. She said, I've been told there's no corners on a track. Yeah, fair enough. It's all turns. It's all one big oval.
Well, for those who didn't see it on the stream, after Bulletproof finished the jam, the entire team and the staff were just like, you did it. So
yes.
It's great to see that kind of family environment for these young athletes to be in, and it's also great that they're having fun while they're here in Philadelphia.
And to say that you have jammed at JRDA champs, that's definitely a feather in your cap. All right, number 4, Anya Last Nerve, now on a scoring trip through the pack, whereas Goldie Knox getting knocked out there to the outside. Goldie Knox putting in a lot of time as a jammer for Quad City. Gets by after a big hit on Tampa.
And Anya Last Nerve coming in hot to the pack. Tries to power through, but gets held up. That's only 3 points on Tampa for that one, but still amazing effort on that pass.
So we have about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left of the bout. Of course, that can always be extended if the jammer clock outruns the game clock there. Tampa
Absolutely.
at 331 points, Quad City Rollers at 69. Remember that Quad City came in here seeded number 9, Tampa seeded number 6.
And again, Tampa is a pretty regular sight at JRDA tournaments and champs.
Yes,
so
this is a first appearance for Quad City. They have only just started playing sanctioned games this season, so to have an appearance here definitely speaks to the team's development.
Well, something that we had in Jacksonville for WFTDA D1 playoffs at Jacksonville 2015. We had an ambassador program where our skaters helped visiting skaters, and my wife and I were helping Team Scotland, which was an absolute blast.
Wow.
But Scotland had this great idea to get together before the bout and just chant, "We deserve to be here," and just...
Wow, that is such a powerful mantra.
Exactly, and they absolutely did. They did great.
And there we saw a very well executed star pass, Quad City there. Unfortunately, it did not lead to points. It did get the jam called off early.
And we have Goldie Knox out there for Quad City.
And Shark Bites out for Tampa, and we were told it is Shark Bites' birthday. So if you're just joining us today, just mentioning that.
Hashtag talk to JRDA. Happy birthday, Shark Bites. And Shark Bites with the lead jam for Tampa.
Goldie Knox, though, if you get a chance to watch right here on the, you can see the power that skates in with, the agility, the track awareness.
Absolutely.
Making room for himself on the inside line and getting through. Oh, forearm, though, called. A little hard to see from where we are in the booth, so sometimes we're a little bit later seeing that action.
Excellent defense on the inside line by Quad City against Tampa, but powers through, putting another 5 points on the board. And we're having a bit of a rotating door at the penalty box this jam. As the time period clock is over, we are now just on the jam clock.
And Tampa didn't take any timeouts. There were no official reviews this half either.
And with the apex jump on the inside, Goldie Knox is back with a vengeance, getting through the initial pass. That's
got to feel good for Goldie Knox. Signature move by far. Look at that. Oh.
Wow, that is a one skate inside line, skin of your teeth pass.
Yes, must have been bumping up against the rope and finishes with an apex jump. That has got to feel good for Quad City there to finish with that.
And for those who can't see on the stream, Quad City, even though the unofficial score is what it is, Quad City still super excited, very happy to be here. Excellent final jam by Knox.
Exactly. We're seeing we're seeing the jubilation out there on the benches. And right now what you can see on screen is just that, the team rallying together. Now that loss for Quad City means they will be playing tomorrow, okay, at 9 a.m. You can watch that game live right here on WFTDA.tv. They will face the defeated team in the next game.
Absolutely, we'll be seeing that soon. And Tampa will be going up against Philly today at 3 p.m., so be sure to watch us then. And again, hashtag talk to JRDA, hashtag number 2, JRDA. Words are still hard for me this morning. I apologize to our audience. But let us know how we're doing if questions. Wish Shark Bites a happy birthday or support your skaters, because we still got plenty of derby, which Nella will let us in on right now.
Yes, the next game coming up, that starts at 11 a.m. Eastern right here, so stay tuned. This is on the open division track. It will be California Mayhem against River City, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Thank you for joining us. I've really enjoyed this call. My name is Death Nella.
And I'm Tool Time.
And stay here for more derby action from the 2018 Junior Roller Derby Association Championships.